My dear YouTube community, do you have to forgive a narcissistic mother? No, you don't have to. You don't have to, but if you do, you're going to be much different of how she was. Because she was, in essence, resentful, raging, depressed, getting down on you, full of negative feelings, without a vision for herself, without self-responsibility. So no, you don't have to. But if you want to be like her, you probably don't forgive. Let's get going. I will give you 5 reasons why inside of a process of healing from the abuse of a narcissistic mother, you should and you will want to forgive her. Not because it's done, not because she stopped doing it, not because she asked you for forgiveness. That would be great. There would be some insight in there. It is not for her. It is not that you would make it go away what she did to you. It would not be that you now give her allowance to do so. There's only one thing that you need to understand. She will never repair, restore, retribute. Is it retribute? To you what she has taken away from you. And if you understand that, you understand that you, first point, need to get this big old sack, this big old burden off your back, which is full of exactly what she is. And you're carrying that around with you, full of bitterness, full of resentment, full of accusations, full of being stuck, and you're going to be stuck with that if you can't forgive her, full of negative emotions, full of righteousness, self-righteousness, I tell you how things are, full of competitiveness, full of physical pain in the end, I think it will result into. Second, and this is beautiful, you might not like it, because this is what you possibly, most than anything, try to avoid. You can really allow yourself, in the process of forgiving, to accuse her of every little thing she has done to you throughout your life. Do you know why? Because you have to do it. Because forgiving without understanding what she really did to you is not forgiving. It's just wanting to get absolution or something like this. It is not forgiving. The forgiving process is centrally driven by an acknowledgement of the pain I have passed through, and to let it go. Third point, stop having the same rules as she has. She has all these rules, how people around her have to behave. Why would you buy into that? Why would you do the same thing? If you hate that, if this is something like one of the most hurtful things which have happened there, that she had her constant rules over you on how you have to behave, how you have to be for you to finally get acknowledged, supposedly. You ain't gonna get that, so get over it. Fourth, to be stronger than her, because you, while you forgive, do the jump from being a victim to being a hero, from being you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty. This is what she does all day long. You do it too. You might be right, but you do it too. She thinks she's right too. You're guilty too. I'm going to take responsibility now, and responsibility in this case means I'm going to be very, very clear on the damage you have done to me, and I'm going to say goodbye to this damage, and I'm going to say you're not going to do this any longer to me, and to move on. And here you're in the hero phase because you are getting out of the cycle of accusing her of being the one responsible for your life. You are now responsible for your emotions. And this is the fifth point, you are then also responsible for the vision you are having in your life for your life, and for how to deal with people like her, or how to deal with anything else which comes up, and you're going to be better equipped to deal with any kind of hurt and attacks, because you understood the damage it had done to you, and that you will no longer allow this. This is a problem. This is a process of real self-empowerment. Do you get that? Let's get into it. I will give you, while we're going, obviously, the little healing hacks you like so much, and which you should apply. You know, those are really, really important. So, when you have not forgiven this narcissistic mother, this doesn't mean that you justify what she has done to you in your life, in her life. This is not your problem anymore. If you let this burden, this sack, you know, it's like a Santa Claus sack, you just drop it, and it's a sack full of accusations, it's a sack full of hurt, it's a sack full of resentment, it's a sack full of you did to me. Not having forgiven is essentially the process of saying, you did to me, and this is why I'm so bad today. I wanna clarify this. She did to you. Yes, she did to you. This is why point 2, after having decided that you no longer want to carry this burden, it's hers. It's her bitterness. It's her accusations. It's her everything, all the damage she had inflicted on you. And you really, really, really want to allow yourself now to point out what it all was that she was doing to you throughout all this process, and things, now you need to check in, you have assumed you were guilty of, that she was right of. Okay? And the best would be to write it down. You know, I'm not getting tired of saying it. To really make a big old list and to enumerate everything. If you want to take 2 months for that. If you want to take 2 weeks. If you want to take a Sunday afternoon and a Sunday night. Do it. Exhaust yourself writing down what it really was, what was really getting to you, what was really, really hurting you so much. Make the effort. When you're done with it, the most beautiful thing in the world would be that you have had somebody to read it to tell. If not, you will have to tell yourself again. Read it over again, or read it after 2 weeks. Read it after a day. I know sometimes our schedules are the way they are. So I can tell you, do it this or that way. Everything is good. What you decide is inside your your schedule and your vibration, where you're in, and of what you need right now. But do the work. Write down everything she did to you, the worst things and the better things, and everything you need to let go of, to not keep on being inside of this position to accuse her of having done all this to her. For now, you tell it. For now, you enumerate it. For now, you're recalling every single facet of it. And the more detailed you're gonna be with it, the better for you. You know, it's like if you want to like clean the house, and you leave out the corners, you leave out under the sofa, you leave out wherever the plants were standing, you will have to go over it again, you know, if you want it clean, because the next time you open the window, you know, the same hairs and whatever is lying there, breadcrumbs, you know, are going to be popping up. So you haven't done the work. Old things are still going to hanging around there. You don't want that. Be as thorough as you can. Accuse her of everything and feel it. Get into it. Really, like, cry it out, like blast it out, you know. Really do something about it inside of yourself. Get really angry about it. Get really hurt. Get really in contact with what you need to get in contact with. If it's too overwhelming for you, you stop and you take a break. I don't want to incite you to do something which would be too much for you. You could have the tendency to do that because she always wanted too much from you. And since she never like elevated you in any way, or sometimes she did and then she would make sure you get down again, you were in a constant vibe, let's say, in a constant mindset of having to give always your all and everything, your total, you know, like almost like overachieving, being very perfect. This is like the flip coin side of the criticism, which you have received from enough. Okay. Now that you get into this accusation, into getting into those feelings, just do as much as you can support. Also, make sure that you understand that there can come up in the next days, you know, you might be able to do this and do this all in a rage and all in a you know, like overactive wish that you can get rid of all this. Then, you know, just do it consciously. Just regulate yourself while you do it. Although, you know, like the counterpart is, although you want to get everything out. So you can take your time, or you can do it in one, you know, it's probably an experiment you're going to be going through. And just tell the best her what she all did to you, and empower yourself while you write this down, you know. Be careful with yourself, be mindful with yourself, see where you're at. Don't skip the moments when you maybe feel you need to get out of it, you know. But write an accusation story. And the best would be like really bold, telling her what she all did to you. This would be empowering you more. I know you're all at different stages of dealing with this relationship, and also in different stages of the damage it had done to you. So you need to consider that, you know, how much you really are capable of going into this, and how much you do maybe one part first, the worst or the less worst, or something which was recent, or something you had less understood in the process, okay? And write this part down. Now you need to understand the third point, which has to do with stop having the same rules as she has. She has all these rules, all these ideas of how people have to treat her. True? We all have that. We all have the idea that mothers should be loving and maybe listening and maybe consoling and maybe being present and taking really care of us, or of daughters, or of sons. We all have rules, how things should be in relationship to somebody. We have rules concerning how husbands should treat us. We have rules of how wives should treat us. We have rules of how our superiors, our bosses, should treat us. We all have these ideas, what we think is common sense and what we think everybody should understand and know, and we kind of enforce them in our mind by having this self-understanding that this is how these kind of people should treat us. And the closer the people are with us, to us, the more stringent we get with those rules, the more important it is for us, because these rules protect us emotionally and our integrity, our dignity, and our entire emotional being and the relation. So rules are important. And if you understand that besides that she has hurt you so much, she has caused so much damage in you, and she has, it essentially or substantially violated some rules of a fixed expectation you had of how she should be treating you, how a mother should be treating you. This is also in society communicated. This is in communities communicated, how it is expected of a mother to treat her children. These rules are good. Yeah, they give us, let's say, like those are the markers of the football field. Where when the ball runs out of it, it's over. The game. The rules are good for you to understand that you wanted now it's your turn. What did you want from her? What kind of attributes would you have loved and wished from her? Being loving, understanding you, supporting you, being really fair with you, being really emotional with you, holding you when you needed to be protected. You name it. And you need to name it. Okay, if you want to go through this process. So you write down what were the rules you had in a fixed expectation expected her to behave towards you. How do mothers behave? What is in society or in your community expected from a mother? In your head, in your wishes, expected from a mother how to behave towards her kids. And when you understand that these rules, how I expect people to behave. They are something we can't like enforce. When I first was forgiving, I learned about forgiveness. The first thing I could pop up with, you know, I was living like a long time in Central America. I mean, you might laugh. I still laugh today about it. And one of my LIDER rules I had to develop, LIDER rules, and one of those rules were that I was really angry about bus drivers not giving out the right change, you know, especially not with probably blonde European women. And what really went against my rules, that people were at that time, throwing always their trash out of the bus windows. That was something so curious to me. And I understood that I was resentful with that. And that this was a rule for me. How people in common sense, in European, hello, I'm German, yeah? I grew up in Germany until like my mid-20s. We would never toss paper out in the street, you know, not to talk about out of a bus. Our bags, our Doritos. So this was something I had grown up with culturally, of what was going against my rules. So I could understand what rules are, and that I did have a resentment story against a different culture at some point. And I learned later that this culture had a resentment point with Germans. Do you know what it was? One of my Latina friends, she's living in Germany, she said at some point, cara de palo, which is like having this like stone face. But another thing, what they really don't like about Germans is that Germans are loud and angry. So I figured, well, there's some cultural differences. So your rules could have been diverse, you know, from other people's rules who had also narcissistic mothers. And it would be good in this process to understand what you would have wished for her to be with you. And you should condense this to really just 2-3 words, you know, in this process. And don't skip back to the process of going again in the accusation story, because you did this in step 2. This is not what you wished for her to be. What you wished for her to be was something positive, was something which is a very tender wish inside of your heart. This is when you were still full of hope, when you still had like the heart of a kid. Okay, when you really wished for her to give you all this love and to be able to grow up with love, with support, with a real relationship, with somebody who asks you how you were when you came home. Somebody who would like wake you up in the mornings with a tender, like wiping off your hair, you know. Somebody like before you would go to school would still give you a little bit of lotion into your face and make a cross across your face and bless you. You weren't able to have that. And if you had it, it was counterparted constantly by aggressive attacks. So write down what you would have loved for her to be in positive words. Okay? And then we just do a quick step now. Try to be stronger than her, because you're going to make a step of letting go of the rule, of your fixed expectation, that mothers should understand this, that they had to be like that. That mothers, everybody can know, should be good and helpful and caring and all these things. It's all common sense. But once you let go of this fixed expectation, that this is how it's supposed to be, because you can't make her to be like this. You can't reinforce this. I couldn't go to Central America and tell everybody that they shouldn't toss out paper out of the buses, I would have been so busy. People would think I was all weird. Probably thought that anyways. So you can't force somebody to do something they don't, out of their free will do. We have to deal in this world with people who don't behave correctly. And there was something which really helped me forgive in my story. And it was to understand, and then we go back to this idea of I am afraid that I adopted unkind manners that she exposed to me, I was exposed to throughout my childhood. Yes, I have. Yeah, it sucks, And for me, it was important to understand that I myself have failed people, that I was unkind to people in my life, that I was sometimes preying on people, that I sometimes was angry, that I sometimes was unjust, that I sometimes had traits of what she is, that I sometimes wasn't well regulated emotionally, that sometimes I hadn't forgiven fast, that sometimes I was resentful, that sometimes I would withdraw, that sometimes I wasn't good at communicating, sometimes I was angry, sometimes I was not attentive in my own. When you understand this, that also you are just a human being who is completely prone to all the human failures. Sure, on a smaller level, but is it better because of it? It's like this downwards comparisons and upwards comparisons. If you say she was so bad, that I must be so good. It's like, somebody's much better than you. How about living up? How about doing you your best and acknowledging, that you haven't given your best all the time? We can't. We can only do this by creating habits, by always being, by trying to always be in a role and in a matter with ourselves and with others, which we make a rule out of, like the good rule, like a habit which we repeat and repeat and repeat, and in the end it comes out, let's say, naturally. All right? That's how we get better on it. But we have days, life's life. Once you understand that you are stronger than her, only at the moment you're letting go of your rules, and that when you get out of the victim posture, the you have done to me, the accusation story, although it's right, but you did before the absolution part, by writing down what you all had done to us, and then you let it go. You give the absolution and you decide from then on to no longer be taking on all this hurt, all this pain, because it's hers. It's not your business anymore. You are from then on, and this is the hero part. And it's not easy. I didn't say it was easy. I said it was necessary and that it's possible. You get into the hero part because from now on, you're going to be completely responsible for your feelings. How many people there will ever be in this life to keep on hurting you? You will have to be the one regulating yourself emotionally. Okay? And to help you doing this, to help you becoming like a real independent person from the evaluation of other people, you now get into this fifth point of getting a real and beautiful vision of yourself, which ain't that vision anymore what she had of you, what she like imposed on you, what she like would like drip into you day after day until you would believe it. This vision is a courageous vision of a person who has passed through much hardship, through much damage, through much difficulties, and who has decided to come out of it. Who has decided that despite of what was happening, which was really damaging, and which what equipped you with much knowledge about manhood, about human beings, without still feeling hurt by it, because that would get you back into this victim position. You from now on become more like an external observer of what is going on around you, what is happening there, and what you can do about it. Yeah? And you get now a vision of your life, which includes to all the time try to forgive, try to regulate yourself, try to stay positive, try to stick to your vision, try to stick to everything you want to do and be. Try to commit to this very new version of yourself. To forgive every day, small things. And she will keep on trying to hurt you if she is there. And if she's not there anymore, or if she's there in both cases, each time you remember the feelings, each time you remember the insults, each time you remember how she was competitive with you, how she would let you down, how she would compare you, how she would minimize you, how she would annul you. Each time you remember, you need to forgive again. And to understand, if I understand that I wasn't perfect in this life, on a small scale, it doesn't matter. I wasn't equipped for it. To let again go, to not get tempted into the story of wanting to say, you did to me. You just do it for a slight moment. And you know what happens when you get into the story of you did to me? You drink the chalice of her bitterness again. It's your bitterness now, it's true. And you can't do this because you are intoxicating yourself with exactly what she all did each time you bring it up in your mind. You don't want to go there. Why would you? You would only, because you would say, I'm here the victim and I can't get out of this. And unless you come and you ask me to forgive you, until you come and take all this pain again away from me, until you come and change and show me that I am worthy, that I am somebody, that I am your beloved child, it will never happen. Just understand, it will not happen, and it is not necessary. And each time you get into those cycles of asking her to give you what she is not capable and not willing to give, you eat, you drink the bitter chalice of her malice. It's a fact. We can measure this in our blood, you know, how the blood constitution changes when we are getting bitter, sad, resentful, hurtful, stressed. We can measure this in our blood. It's no problem today for science, you know. Also in your, you can measure brain activities. You don't want to go there anymore. You just haven't understood until today that you want to forgive her, not because it makes things go away or makes her change, but because it makes you change, because it heals you, because it allows you to no longer dwell on the bitterness, on the hurt, on the pain, on the accusations, on the injustice. Okay? And you want to be there where you no longer, let's say, retrieve all these negative emotions which will cause inside of your body negative chemicals, let's say. They can get you sick, get you a bad stomach, they can get you, tension in your back and in your shoulders, they can get your heart rate up, they can get all kinds of things. Why would you do that to yourself? If you can have a better life now, understanding this was a part of your past, and that now is the time for you to thrive, to let go of this relationship. Clang, clang. Those bonds aren't that tight anymore. And to stop asking her for retribution. To stop asking her for her having to be the one who made you feel bad, now has to be the one who finally makes you feel good, because your rule is mothers are, caring and loving and nurturing and all this. And it ain't. Just get real. It ain't. Now you're gonna be the one nurturing yourself, loving yourself, understanding that what she did to you wasn't what you needed, and it wasn't right. So now you develop that, what you want for yourself, inside yourself. Don't ask others to do it. It will be always incomplete. Okay? I hope this was helpful. Get that burden off your back and off your shoulders, which is a burden of resentment. Allow yourself to write down your story, which is the correct story of what she did to you, and let it go. Then, how do you let it go? Over declaring that the rules you had for how mothers have to behave towards their daughters and their sons, you can't reinforce them. You can tell her, be the way I need you to be. You can do this with anybody in this life, only with yourself. getting off your rules, being stronger than her, being no longer resentful, being no longer the one who's asking others to make me happy. And this means getting from victim into the hero state. What do you need to be a hero? To develop a vision of who I am and to heal. To be now me, the one in charge of myself. And to make sure everybody respects that. For this, I need to convince myself that I'm worth of that. For that, I need to love myself. I need to give myself this worth, which she never has done, what she will never do. And once she notices that you do it, she'll make fun of you, she'll try to take it away from you, and other people do it too, and who cares? Who cares if you are decided, if you have your vision of who you want to be and how you want to be and to live it. Do you think it's going to be from one day to the other? No, it ain't. No, it ain't. But once you start, it's like this drop, which fills up the bucket. And you can reach it. It's going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. And it's possible. You need to struggle yourself through this process a little bit. Yes, you need to keep up the good spirit all the time. Get help, I say, from above. If you believe in God, get strengthened by God. Hopefully this is not the same God as you made her to be your God, but a loving God, a loving spirit, a loving all this, what would be that deity which people say is love, is creator, is life, is giving, is forgiveness. It might be hard for you. For some people, yes. For some people, no. I understand you. I was telling a little bit my story, getting from pastor's daughter to atheist to finally becoming a Christian. Like a decision, like having a relationship with God, which is my strength. I draw strength from my faith. And if you can do it, try to do it. Otherwise you have to draw it from, let's say, from the nothing a little bit, which you can do, just use it use your cognitive thinking to create positivity, and try to not be a grouch with with this loving universe, let's say, what some people like to believe it to be. I hope this was a little bit helpful for you. Forgiveness is a little bit of a hard thing to do. It's a thing of every day, and you might come across more and more and more and more things. And I always give testimony inclusively that when I was learning to forgive, I not only understood that I was resentful with the bus driver, with the people throwing out stuff out of the bus, with understanding myself that I wasn't all that super good. But there was a fourth thing which was really important for me, that I was totally resentful with God. Now, what kind of God would that be who would allow all those things here on earth? And I understand you, don't you think? I hope this was helpful for you. Hope to see you back on the next video. Check out my next videos in relation to inner healing and to narcissistic mothers. They can help you also probably with any other narcissistic relationships you're in. and they can also always help you a little bit on the healing journey if there isn't like a formal narcissist in your life. Okay? I'm very happy to have you. If you want to subscribe and leave me a comment, I'm happy to hear you. And if you want to receive coaching, just write to Christina at christinajunge.com. It's down there in the description box to get on the waiting list to see when our next coaching program starts and where I can fit you in my programs. I love you all much. Just take much care of yourselves, okay? Bye.